All right, so we look at this warm up here. This is what we did Thursday. Let's just put it in if-then form. That's a conditional statement. It's if-then. So what do we think if we wrote that in if-then form?
If something pursued. If you are a sophomore, then you take driving lessons.
Good. If you are a sophomore, then you take driving lessons. Good. Yes. Yes. So now we're going to talk about a biconditional statement. So then, back on the warm-up, our conditional was if you are a sophomore, then you take driving lessons. Remember, the converse switched to that. So if you take driving lessons, then you are a sophomore. That would be the converse. Remember, that's not always true. But when we do biconditional statements, so what we're going to do today, that's when both the conditional and the converse are true. So then we use this if and only if phrase. Okay, so this is what you're going to write in your notes. So this if and only if will appear in the middle of our sentence. So instead of using the words if and then, we're going to write our statement, but then put an if and only if in the middle. Okay, so let's look at this example. So you have on your paper your definition of the perpendicular lines. That's that first thing you have up here. Okay, so if two lines intersect to form a right angle, then they are perpendicular lines. Okay? It's also true if two lines are perpendicular, then they intersect to form a right angle. So we're going to write that as a biconditional. So I don't write the if part. I start just at the statement. Two lines intersect to form a right angle. Okay, so I have this part here, two lines intersect to form a right angle. If and only if, so I put that in the middle, they are perpendicular lines. So I take out the if then, and I replace it with if and only if in the middle. Okay, since both the converse and the conditional are true, it didn't matter if I started with the first part or the second part. So I could have also said, if two lines are perpendicular lines, if and only if they intersect to form a right angle. Okay, so I could have started with the perpendicular part first, and then if and only if right angle, or right angle if and only if perpendicular, because they are both true. Okay. So, if Mary is in theater class, she will be in the fall play. So they're saying that's true. If Mary's in the fall play, she must be taking a theater class. So we're writing it as a biconditional, so we have to assume both parts are true. Okay? All right. So anyone want to try this one on how we should write it?
Mary will be in the fall play if and only if she's in theater class.
Yeah. So you could say Mary is in the fall play if and only if she's in theater class. Or you could say Mary is in theater class if and only if she's in the fall play. Just remember, these statements do not start with an if. Good. So in our next example, we're going to do all three. So what we did Thursday and what we're doing today. So we're going to be given a statement, and the first thing we're going to do is write it as a conditional statement. So just if-then form. All right, so conditional statement. P is the hypothesis, Q is our conclusion. So if it's a conditional statement, then it's P implies Q. P implies Q. So I'm going to say if P, then Q. Remember, the converse switches those. So we have if Q, then P. So Q implies P. If it's a biconditional, then it's Q implies P, P implies Q. It goes both ways, and we use if and only if. So how would I write the conditional? So how would I write these statements in if-then form?
If Q, then Q. Or if P.
Okay. So now using what P and Q are.
If the car is running and the key is running.
Good. If the car is running, then the key is in the ignition. Now, obviously, that doesn't have to be true anymore. You don't actually have to have your key in your ignition in some cars for the car to be running, but we're assuming this car is, I don't know, at least 15 years old, we'll say. Okay? So write down what you think B should be, the converse. So converse, you're switching your Q and your P. It's still going to be if-then form, but you're switching the Q and the P. So, Alina, what did you have for that one? Good. If the key is in the ignition, then the car is running. All right, now let's do the biconditional. So the part that we learned today. So remember, you take off the if at the beginning. Okay? So, Kale, what would we have? Okay? Okay. So, I know you know Ethan. John, what do you think this one is?
Car is running if only if the keys are in the ignition.
Good. The car is running. So we take off the if at the beginning. If and only if the key is in the ignition. Or you could say, if the key is in the ignition, if and only if the car is running. You could say it that way too. Okay, so your assignment is a quizzes assignment. The link is posted in Schoology like it was when we did that other quizzes assignment. So you can get that out and start working on that now.